Hallo, willkommen zurück zu Pillars of Eternity. Wir sind hier im First Fires und sollen zu mit diesem Konsulat, in dem Konsulat, reden. Das ist da. Oder Embassy in der Botschaft. Mhm. Noble. The stones of this ancient tower have been blackened by centuries-old fires. Surrounded by a patch of wildflowers, it looks like a memorial. Jawohl. Jawohl. Heritage Hill claims another curious souls. Soul. Noble, noble, noble. Die werde ich nicht lesen. It's not right, regular folk like us should be allowed to attend the hearings. Radavdur.
I shall be discreet.
Dum dum dum. Justika. Das ist nur ein Seiteneingang. Nehme ich an. We demand to see the Duke. Maggie Tiller.
Politics, infighting, greed, and a shrine to Margaret as well. Her clergy belongs there.
This looks like the place Maywald described.
Praise to
the exiled queen. May her crown be restored and her justice prevail. Come to pay your respects to the queen that was.
A ghost hovers in the middle of the ruin, reciting blessings and prayers. Even as the spirit's form shifts and swirls, it retains the face of an elderly man and robes that mark wealth and status. It turns to you. Who are you? Lord
Ardwellen Rugford III, and pleased to make your acquaintance. I came to the Deerwood on one of the first ships from Adia. And unlike the yokels and hut dwellers around here, I still keep to the old ways.
I was told I'd find the Temple of Verdammten here.
And so you did. These savage colonists may have burned it down, but worship of the Oathbinder is alive and well. These stairs lead to the main sanctum.
What stairs?
These stairs, of course. The sanctum was always below ground, adjacent to the catacombs, so it wasn't destroyed by the fires.
Tell me where to find an entrance to these catacombs.
There are various entrances throughout Defiance Bay, but I dare say the easiest to reach is in Copper Lane. I haven't been to that part of town in ages, but as I recall, it's somewhere near the southern gate.
What are you doing?
Worshipping Woodaka, the exiled queen and oathbinder. I come every day to offer my devotion. I'd love nothing more than to book passage back to Adia, but it is my emperor's wish that I serve in these barbaric lands. And so I do.
I'd like to know more about Vedika.
A queen among the gods. She oversees laws and oaths. Everything has a rightful place, and Woodaka watches over them all. Of course, not everyone accepts this. Even among the other gods, her authority is questioned. But Woodaka is also goddess of memory and vengeance, and she remembers. She'll remember every slight and trespass when she reclaims her throne.
You know that you're a ghost, right?
I beg your pardon? Is this some sort of joke where you come from?
I'm serious, just look at yourself.
A madhouse. That's what this town really needs.
Goodbye. Weeds grow thick and full and troubled by the passage of Kith. Oh, ich habe irgendwas aufgenommen.
I'll see what I can find.
Okay. Grappelwind.
All these circling feet heading nowhere.
Nice and slow.
Nix. Hier runter noch. Ne. Okay. Bücher. Gelben Ragged. Vincent Agosti, mit dem sollen wir reden?
Ambassador Agosti, I would speak with you on a matter of some urgency and great importance.
Sighing as though remembering some heavy burden, Vincent crosses his arms before replying. Pelagina, if this is the same matter we previously discussed, I doubt I will be convinced any more easily. Quit stonewalling and pay attention for once. Aggressive, passionate, stoic. Ambassador, please hear out. The ambassador appears mildly annoyed by your interjection and turns his attention back to Pelagina.
Ambassador, I implore you to take a step back and look at this again.
Ambassador Agosti holds up his hand and cuts Pelagina off in a strident note. Enough! We are not going over Defiant's base eminences again. The Duke's Bell's desires have not changed since the last time we spoke. If you haven't heard, word of your insubordination has already found the ears of the Duxia of Biajep and the Duke of Zelona. There are murmurs that you cannot be trusted to fulfill your duties. Must this talk reach the shores of Spiranto? Pelagina's aggressive demeanor drains to a state of shock and worry, but she remains silent. If it makes any difference, Ambassador, I am already looking into the matters of Pelagina has spoken of. It doesn't, but it would be fortuitous if your investigation took you to Twin Elms, because that's where Pelagina needs to go.
What is it the Dukes need of me, Ambassador?
The Direwood's instability has created an opportunity for us to take over the trade with Glenfarth. We will need to meet with the Glenfarthans soon to secure upcoming trade arrangements. The roads to Twin Elms can be dangerous, of course, but that's why you will be our representative there.
It shall see, Ambassador. But won't this provoke the Deerwoodins? Their country is falling apart, and we are already dividing up their trade alliances.
Provoke them into what? Going to war? Through no fault of the Republic's, the Direwood's armies have been deprived of an entire generation of soldiers. It would be foolish not to take advantage of the situation. If we don't, the Red Currents will. Ambassador, that's some cold compassion considering what these people have been through. It does make sense, Pelagina. The Direwood has problems, and sooner or later someone's going to profit from it.
More than that, Ambassador, there is a practical element to consider. We may profit in the short term from this arrangement, but what of the future? The Deerwood won't forget, and the Republics may pay the price for it.
The Ambassador says we are not the Dukes, Pelagina. It's their decision and our job to carry out the orders. It's not like they are asking you to assassinate someone. Pelagina raises an eyebrow and clenches her jaw, but remains silent. Pelagina, he shakes his head. Go to Twin Elms, speak to Anamena and Namenfath. Impress upon her this instability of the Deerwood, and to reassure her of the Valian Republic's desire to open safe trade.
Of course, Ambassador.
The Ambassador nods and smiles paternally. He then looks to you. I know you planned on investigating this crisis together, but I hope you understand Pelagina's responsibilities. Of course, Ambassador, we all have our duties to attend to. I understand, but we're still going to investigate it, responsibilities or not. Lie, wink obnoxiously at Pelagina. I understand completely and will make sure she completes this important mission for the Dukes. Not non-committally investigated, responsibilities or not. Vincent bristles and turns to Pelagina. Will the Dukes need to hear more about Pelagina's wild adventures?
Of course not, Ambassador. I will attend to the Maimed as soon as I am able to travel to Twin Elms.
Go now, if you will excuse me.
Could have gone better. Could have gone worse. I appreciate that you stood up for me, but it's hard to persuade the Ambassador to go against the Duke's orders.
I know you're right, Pelagina. We may find a way for you to fulfill your obligations while looking into what's really going on around here. Don't worry. It seemed right to support you, but I think the Ambassador made good points. If you don't start following orders, you're going to get into more trouble with the Dukes.
Enough wisdom for both of us. Now, I just need to find out how to get to Twin Elms before the Ambassador loses his patience.
She pauses in thought. Still, I fear that making this deal with the Glenfarthans will further weaken the Deerwood and make trouble for the Republics in the years to come. Well, it's a long way to Twin Elms. You'll have plenty of time to think it over. Follow your heart. Do what you believe will be best for the Republics. Just follow your orders, Pelagina. It's the least likely path to trouble. Das erste.
Verus.
Help Pelagina broker trade agreement with the Feather in Twin Elms. Okay.
Hail, traveler.
What can this humble servant of the Republics do for you? Pelagina said you could use my help with something. Of course, of course. Word has reached my ears how you crossed blades with the Dominels. And yet here you are, still quite impressive. Versano was most fortunate you came along. But on to business. A rather notorious adventuring party, calling themselves the Forgotten, have made the name of them for themselves by raiding Engwithian ruins in the Dyewood and selling the stolen relics to their patrons back in the Valiant Republics. I need them stopped. I'm sure you're aware that trade in Engwithian relics is strictly forbidden in the Dyewood. Were it known that prominent nobles in the republics were flagrantly defying the Duke's ban on the looting of Engwithian ruins, it would put a number of valuable trade agreements in jeopardy, or even cause a defiance bay to embargo Valiant goods. I can't let that happen. I'll help. What do you need me to do? He smiles in relief. Thank you. A prominent merchant in the Republic's Mestre Barcosi has also developed an interest in obtaining Engwithian relics and sent a buyer to Defiance Bay to meet with the Forgotten. I arranged for the Knights of the Crucible to detain the buyer for questioning. I may have suggested that the buyer was a wanted criminal. I need you to go into the buyer's place, posing as Barcosi's representative, and learn how the Forgotten are smuggling their relics through Defiance Bay. With that knowledge, I can take steps to discreetly dismantle the operation and discredit them in the eyes of their patrons. If there's nothing else, I must return to my duties. Tell me about the Valiant Republics. They are rich in all ways, in wealth, in style, in culture. If you were to go to the Republics, you would not want to leave. Why would you? The people are beautiful and charming. I am here because the Sangreta Ducala wishes it. But when my appointment is done, I will be on the first ship out, and I will sing from here to Celona. What do you do here? As the Valiant Ambassador, my job is to ensure trade with the Dyewood remains strong and profitable. The Forgotten. At Edelvan Bridge. Diplomat. These postings show current prices for a range of commodities and they track the running exchange rate for the Valiant Lusk. Oder so.
And what does the flame reveal?
Ist doch gar nicht auffällig, dass ich mich hier so rumschleiche. Da haben wir noch ein Buch. Okay. Na gut. Dann können wir jetzt wohl mehr aus der Stadt raus. Wir könnten natürlich auch noch die anderen Sachen besuchen und so weiter. Wobei, das können wir auch gerade machen. Mal in den Palast und gucken, was der Krieger zu sagen hat. First Fires, müssen wir auch mal aufschreiben. Dann haben wir hier noch... Ist nur noch dieses Keep dann übrig. Dann gehe ich da auch noch rein. Da links war noch eine Tür, da können wir nachher auch noch hin. Wenn wir die nicht da schon sehen. Sicily. Welcome to the Ducal Palace.
Good day, stranger.
The young woman wears a simple but well-tailored uniform. She watches the comings and goings around her with quiet attention. Any news to share, or are you just here to see the Ducal Palace? What is the Ducal Palace? It is the seat of government here in Defiance Bay. This is where Duke Admeth Heldred declared freedom from Adiran rules some of 150 years ago. She lowers her voice and grins. It's also a hotbed of regional politics. Trust me, the gossip here beats what you will find in any tavern or brothel in the city. Multiply that by 10 and it would be just like the Republic's. Looking for news? Who are you? I'm a page, keine Ahnung, wie man es auf Englisch ausspricht. Here at the palace. Ich bin eine Seite hier. Nein, ich bin ein Page. I deliver messages and run errands for the Duke and his advisors. The pay's not great, but I can't think of a better introduction to politics. What goes on in here? She laughs. Where to start? We've got meetings, public hearings and ceremonies. And that's just the stuff that happens out in the open. She leans a little closer. This is where the Duke and his key advisors work, so there's always someone bartering for a favor. Unfortunately, I'm not at liberty to talk about that side of things. But if you want the official version, she clears her throat and gestures counterclockwise around the palace. We have a shrine devoted to Magrum, official records, and chambers for public hearings and council meetings. Ich muss mal gerade was aufschreiben, damit ich das zum nächsten Teil nicht vergesse. So. Tell me about the Shrine of Magran. It's a symbol of Magran's protection of Defiance Bay. She represented the revolutionary spirit of the Deerwood. Jetzt haben sie Drywood geschrieben. Okay. Diesmal ist es of the Drywood, ever since independence, and her involvement in creating the Godhammer bomb only affirmed her importance to us. She scratches her neck. That's also where the first of the sacred fires burn, but Fergar, the tranquil ardent, has had trouble keeping them lit. What kinds of records are stored here? Mostly dull official stuff, census counts, tax records, militia registers. Now, I keep my distance. I got curious one day and got drafted into reshelving half of the records. She taunts. Worst day of my life. Is there a hearing going on right now? Sure is. Duke Arena's been meeting with some of the city leaders for weeks now, trying to figure out how to address the legacy. The whole business is terribly secret, though. I tried to sit in the gallery during my lunch break one day and got turned away. She sniffs. But a lot of the talk concerns animacy, so there's a good reason they are keeping the meetings behind closed doors. The legacy? Waitwind's legacy. That's what a lot of people call the rash of Hollowborn. The theory goes that it's punishment for meddling in animancy. Why is animancy so controversial? She laughs. Where to begin? Traditionalists think it's a crime against the gods. There's no question that poking around in souls is risky, but the more progressive elements believe it's our only shot at restoring healthy births. And it doesn't help matters that animancy research often involves old Engwithan relics that were illegally looted from ruins in Air Glandfarth. She makes a quick, twitching motion with her index and middle fingers. What are Hollowborn? She raises an eyebrow. You really are fresh from the road. Hollowborn are children born without souls. They often don't live for very long, and those that do have generally received some kind of treatment from the Animancers. So what do you think about animancy? Me, I think the real danger of animancy is confusing real scholar with an expensive fake. We get a new case here every day. Some poor couple in the gift or copper lane who spent every copper they had on miracle cure for their unborn child. It never works. She shakes her head. Breaks your heart, but there's usually nothing we can do for them. I see. Anyway, the legacy is what the politicians have been whispering about lately. I'd like to ask something else. Tell me about the current Duke. That would be Ever Wolfgren. Don't let the title fool you, though. Our dukes have been elected since independence. Some find Duke Ever rather coarse. He's a frontier noble. Personally, I think rough and tumble type is just what defines Bay needs. Goodbye. Okay, dann schauen wir jetzt hier mal um. Scheint ja nicht klein zu sein. Rustika.
Light, flame, and sound. We'll keep to ourselves.
Ich nehme an, da ist der andere Ausgang. Ja. Rustika, da kann ich das einfach knacken. Hinter dem. Ist kein Diebstahl in dem Fall. Unlock this will require a proper key. Only people with official invitations are allowed to observe the animancy hearings. Was haben wir hier? Frigga. Most bring bright Magran transformers with your flame. A stone figure of a warrior grazes towards her raised hand. It's empty, but her palm and fingers are blackened.
Greetings.
The woman's head is bowed as her lips move in prayer. Just as you approach, you catch her glimpsing at the statue near her. She notices you and forces a smile. Praise be to Magran and welcome to her temple. How may I be of service? You seem upset. What's wrong? Her shoulders slump. This is about the fires, isn't it? She puts a hand on your shoulder. They are just symbols. You can't put your faith in them. Slow down and tell me what this is about. The sacred papyrus are all around town. You must have seen the statues of the goddess around the city, holding up empty braziers. I've kept them burning steadily for 15 years, but I haven't been able to conjure them for months now, and people need to see them more than ever these days. What does that mean? It's my devotions and prayers that keep them lit, but lately, when I try to pray, all I can think about are the hollowborn all over the city, the grieving families, the refugees. She shakes her head. How could Magran allow us to suffer like this? What strength do we gain from a soulless child? Durance grunts with disdain. What strength do we gain from adversity, from trial and test? The fires don't wither because she lacks in faith. They wither because she does not understand how to be faithful to a whore. A whore wants neither praise nor devotion. A whore wants to be compensated for her services, and Magran is paid and pleasured in sweat and struggle and pain. This mewling inimitable is unworthy of Magran's womanly heat. Shrug. Take heart and don't abandon your faith too easily. And this is shaking your faith? She nods, running her hands through her hair. But I believe Magran may be speaking to me again. She frowns and casts a quick glance in your direction. This will likely sound so far-fetched to someone like you. Lately, I've been seeing visions, a place in the wilderness with pools filled with sunbursts of color, strange falls that seem to rise to the heavens even while they splash into the earth. She raises her hands as if framing an image of her vision, and behind the falls is a cave filled with fire and heat and danger, and some token of my goddess. I know there's something there, but where it is or how I'd get there, she shakes her head. I've been meaning to ask around at the expedition hall to see if anyone recognizes the description. To be honest though, I don't know what I'd do even if I found the place. Worthless, like so many of Magran's flock, afraid of her god's tests. If Magran speaks to her, it is to hasten an end into a hypocrite life, and this vision is surely a death trap for the weak. I'd like to know more about the temple here. Magrin is the most revered goddess among us Daiwudans, so it's no surprise that the temple is part of the ducal palace. The fire symbolizes trials, revolutions, and the blazing of new paths, all of which are important to us. She gestures to the statue. This is the first of the sacred pyres. When this is lit, so are the rest around the city. Something else? What's the significance of the sacred pyres? They symbolize Magrin's power and guidance, and right now the people of Defiance Bay need to be assured of her presence. She crosses her arms, staring at the statue. Our neighbors in the Varian republics see us as superstitious, but we are just sensitive to the signs and warnings of the gods. Goodbye. Travel to the cave from Fruga's vision. If they will find the star, to resume my duties. Someone at the Expedition Hall might know. Okay. Noch eins? Ne, ist dasselbe.
Nice and slow.
Nice and slow. Noble, da kann man nur stehlen. Proper Key. Records Keeper. Ah, jetzt kommen wir hier mit dem Eder ins Spiel. Da kommen wir nicht dran.
Greetings.
Attacky Turn. Attacky Turn? Was soll ein Attacky Turn sein? Egal. A man with graying hair pores over a tome he's just withdrawn from one of the shelves. He glances up at you with baggy eyes. Yes, is there something I can pull for you? I'm looking for militia records from the time of the Saints' War, trying to find out what happened to someone. The man clears his throat. We've had a number of inquiries about such information. I'm afraid we've had to bar access to the public. Seems there are still quite a number of folk in Deerwood who bear ill will toward red currents. It would be irresponsible to surrender their names to just anyone. Many came to settle here as refugees. Perhaps if you were more established in Defiance Bay, things would be different, but I have no reason to suspect you to be any different from the others. I take what I want. We've come a long way. I just need to find out about my brother. I don't even know what side he fought for. You must understand, I have heard many such stories. I'm afraid there's nothing I can do for you. More reputation. Okay. Hätten wir das? Hat sich hier irgendwas Neues ergeben? Nö. Dann gehen wir hier wieder raus. Und dann gehen wir noch in das letzte Gebäude. Ins Crucible Key. Wie kommen wir denn da hin? Ah, da ist ein Durchgang. Anscheinend irgendwie. Von unten. Okay. Weapons and shields grant bonuses that stack with bonuses from other item types. Das ist ja ein Ding. What business brings you up to the keep?
Hail, traveler.
Aldemar gives you an appraising eye. Judging by the scars on his face, he's lucky to be able to do that much. Every day we get more from the hinterlands pouring into Defiance Bay. It keeps us busy on the watch. It does. You look like you're recently arrived yourself. Who are you? A soldier of the Crucible Knights, and proud of it. I help keep everything running at the keep so that Commander Cliver can focus on more important matters. Looking for something or just knocking the dirt off your boots? What goes on in Crucible Keep? This is the headquarters of the Crucible Knights, so it's where we store arms and armor, as well as where many of our soldiers bunk. Commander Cliver's in the back, making plans, as usual. He scratches a scarred cheek. You'll find the forge at the west end of the building, along with our master smith, Dunstan. There's also a shrine to the golem, if you're the praying type. Tell me about the Crucible Knights. We are the defenders of Defiance Bay. We are not exactly a formal knighthood, but don't tell Commander Clive I said that, he grins. We were the first organized militia to oppose the Adrian rule, and today we are the largest force in the city. Our soldiers undergo years of combat training, and our officers are required to have their souls read by that critter out in Dunred Row. What is this about Dunred Row? Just the requirements of the Crucible Knights, so the higher-ups know there's nothing messy built in your soul's past. Altmar widens his stance. Keeping the ranks pure is fine by me. I just wish they were more careful in hiring their ciphers. What's wrong with their ciphers? He shifts his weight and glances in the empty halls. They're mostly Orlans. I'm sure they're talented enough, but you just can't trust them. Hostilities in their nature, and they've learned to hide it over the years. He frowns and crosses his arms. All I'm saying is, they should at least be supervised by other folk. That's reasonable enough, isn't it? If people treated them better, you wouldn't have to worry about them being so hostile. I'm just speaking the truth. Nowadays it seems that the biggest crime of all. Jetzt kommen noch die Sachen. You're wrong. Like this, speaking the truth nowadays, blah blah blah. Okay. Novitate.
Steady does it.
I'm starting to slow the pack. Can we sit for a spell and relax?
Niemals. Villa. The Justicia's gaze flicks over to you briefly before returning to the novitates gathered in the training area. If this is about patrols, my novitates, oder wie auch immer man es ausspricht, novitates, are already stretched to their limit. Between the refugee influx and the mess at Heritage Hill, I simply don't have any units to spare. After a pause, she looks over at you again. I'm sorry, was there something else you needed? Is something wrong at Heritage Hill? She lowers her voice. What isn't wrong is the real question. A whole district of walking, flesh-eating corpses. We sealed the area 2 months ago, just after I lost one of my finest commanders there. And yet, this is the second guard rotation to disappear. There are already enough rumors about the place floating around the keep without my soldiers whispering about these disappearances. She shakes her head. I just as soon abandon the district, but if those monsters should find a way out... Tell me about Heritage Hill. It used to be one of the most prestigious districts in Defiance Bay, but a few months ago the residents all went mad, started eating each other, and anything else that had the bad luck to wander into the district. I've never seen anything like it. Now, every novitiate that stands guard there, everyone that comes back anyway, talks of the stench of the grave and the groans of unspeakable horrors. She shows up one plate-clad finger. The why and the how are questions for the animancers. I've sealed the district in hopes of containing whatever happened there. It seems to be working for now. If there's nothing else, I must attend to my duties. You said earlier that something was wrong in Heritage Hill? Blah blah blah. What do you do here? Nah, I'll look into it. She steps back and regards you. After what I've just told you, you want to go to Heritage Hill? I've lost trained soldiers there. Why should I let anyone in? If people are disappearing, someone's got to figure out what's happening to them. You've got nothing to lose. Your trained knights have nothing on me. Knights of the Crucible, slight negative. Aggressive, Defiance Bait, slight negative. It just seems like you could use the help. What's the harm in letting me try? You've got nothing to lose. If you're so eager to rush to your death, I won't stop you. She quietly looks on at the novitiates. Novitiates? Klingt gut. And if you're somehow able to put a stop to this. You've got my permission to enter Heritage Hill. I'll send word to the guards at the gate. What do you do here? I'm in charge of the keep's novitiates. I'm responsible for their training and patrol assignments. She nods at the group gathered in the training room. They're good soldiers and they've been quick to adapt the new challenges. To the new challenges. Enter Heritage Hill. War das jetzt diese nördliche Zone? Ja, okay. Da bin ich noch nicht gewesen. Das hier ist ein bisschen groß. Na gut. Da haben wir wieder ein Buch. Bzzz.
Nice and quiet.
This is the symbol of Abaddon, a colossal smithing hammer imposed over a circular gear. It's smooth and bright with buffing oils. Nix. Mit dem können wir reden. Machen wir das.
Strange place for a shrine to Abaddon, Crucible Keep. Maybe it made more sense at some point before it gathered all that dust. And the only thing the Knights of the Crucible worship these days is the nobility, as far as I understand it.
I knew some soldiers who got recruited by the Knights after the war was over. They told me some about it. They get these young kids in there and they tell them about blacksmithing and about the revolution and about tradition. Talk about the golem like he created the Crucible Knights in his forge to go win Deerwood's independence. Then they join and it turns out all any of those knights ever talks about is when we're gonna get recognized as real knighthood. When are we getting our titles and our land? The High Justice wants to be an earl, says it's Abaddon's will. He's got a castle and an army. You wonder how long he'll wait before he starts a war over it, saying Abaddon told him to. They don't seem all bad. They are keeping peace in Defiance Bay. And the nobles will respond that their gods told them they're the only true nobles. They don't seem all bad. They are keeping peace at Defiance Bay. There is the kernel of something good in there, I think. Some good people wanting to do right by each other. Trouble is, they are headed away from it.
Steady does it.
Commander
We
Klein.
just don't have the manpower.
Ein neues Buch. 2 neue Bücher. Na, super. Ja, es ist ein... Was? Task updated unwanted. Unwanted. The Crucible Knights are calling for the arrest of an Orlan man named Eon. Apparently he's eluded capture thus far, though the Knights continue to hunt for him. The edict of arrest I found is recently dated. Eon could not have traveled far, and it seems unlikely he could get past the guards at the gates. I should look for him in the city. This map shows the environs surrounding Defiance Bay. Und jetzt ist das Ding verschwunden. Flags mark strategic access points to the city.
Refugees from every corner of the Deerwood. The dozens getting them all riled up about animancy. At this rate, we'll need twice the soldiers to patrol Defiance Bay. Yes? Can I help you with something?
Why don't you have enough soldiers?
Fleetbreaker Castle. The High Justice has summoned almost half of my novitiates, and more of my justiciars to a keep on the other side of New Haelmar. It's not for me to question the High Justice's orders, but it's left us short-handed. And mark me, we're just a couple sparks away from anarchy.
Is there any way I can help? I know how to handle myself. Benevolent Knights of the Crucible, slight positive. With so many newcomers, can you just recruit more soldiers? Quit being dramatic. You choose this career. Cruel Crusher, Knights of the Crucible, slight negative. Ach so, das hat da drauf auch direkt Auswirkungen. Okay. That's unfortunate. He gives you a thin smile. Always refreshing to meet someone who'd rather fix a problem than complain about it. Forgemaster Dunstan is working with an animancy scholar to build what we are calling the Forge Knights, warriors that can patrol our streets without suffering fatigue, disobedience or fear. Some agitator throws a rock at them and we don't have to worry about things getting out of hand. He constructed the armor, but we need the scholar's research. Unfortunately, he hasn't been around the last few times my novitiates have checked. Vienna lives with the rest of the Scriveners out in the Copper Lane, but I haven't the soldiers to spare at the moment. Go to the Scrivener's dormitory and see if you can find her. When you get the research, just bring it to Dunstan, and this is his area of expertise anyway. Animancy is tolerated in most parts of the Republics, but some Valiants prefer the community in Defiance Bay for their research. I hope she hasn't been forced out of the city or worse. Once you've brought him to the research, he can sell you any arms or armor if you have need. He forges and repairs all of our equipment. You won't find a more capable smith in Defiance Bay. Was there something else I can do for you? You're in charge of the Crucible Knights? Here in Defiance Bay, anyhow, the High Justice is the leader of our order, but he's currently stationed in Fleetbreaker Castle. My job is to oversee our forces in Defiance Bay and to keep order for the Duke. Tell me about the Knights of the Crucible. He crosses his hands behind his back. We are the only professional army in Defiance Bay, or in the Deerwood for that matter. We defended the city in Hadred's day. We've improved our training since then, but Dunrit Row can certify that many of our officers come from good Deerwooden fighting stock. Now we are responsible for patrolling the city and keeping the peace. With so many refugees pouring in from the countryside, that's become more important than ever. Unfortunately, that's earned us enemies, particularly among the dozens and some of the more enterprising families in Defiance Bay. What do the dozens have against you? He snorts. They're demagogues, keine Ahnung, wie man es ausspricht, and troublemakers. They forget that Defiance Bay is one of the largest cities in the world and not some frontier outpost. Most of them are mercenaries on a good day and street thugs the rest of the time. Needless to say, they have no patience for law and order. Tell me about these enterprising families. House Dömenel, namely, they're one of the city's oldest noble families and its largest criminal organization. Their patriarch, Getmar, has been trying to take advantage of the turmoil to expand his operations. We've kept on top of him, and he hasn't been too happy about that. I see. Goodbye. Built to last. Go to the Scrivener's Dormitory in Copper Lane. Naja, das können wir ja dann auch noch machen, aber dann nicht in diesem Teil. Die Baracken hier können wir nur stehlen, nehme ich an. Thick grime cakes the bottom of the tub. The towel hanging from the side gives off an awful stench. Dunstan, ist das der... Nein, das ist nicht der letzte Raum. Novitiate. Tongues of flame lick at the forge, hissing with smoke, as hot as the dragon's breath. Was haben wir hier unten noch? Penhelm. Und da müssen wir auch noch rein. Okay, das ist noch ein bisschen was hier. Dann werde ich auch hier erstmal wieder einen Schnitt machen. Dann geht es beim nächsten Mal ja, wieder mit Dialogen weiter. Also bis dann.